I think we're live, Kenny. I think we are. They don't really. Here's the thing. DB's out of town. He's on vacation this week. Let's get right into it. And what happens? A hurricane comes through Texas, and producer Tony doesn't even jump on with me. And when does a hurricane ever come through Texas? In July. But it did. And so, look, here I am. I'm here with my boy Kenny Kim. It's been a long time since you and I have done a show. We were just talking about it, maybe since 2018. And here we are for the Genesis Scottish Open. And how are you, buddy? You doing good?
I'm good, man. You look great. It's definitely been a while. I think we did a show back then. I saw you guys at the Players Championship when Rory won.
Yeah.
I met you guys there. It's always fun being on shows with you. I don't know how you're doing it. So you have to produce the show today too?
I guess.
Yeah, I would have just not done the show.
I mean, I don't know what I'm. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, Kenny.
If my producer no showed, I would be like, we're not doing this shit.
Yeah, I just got.
I can just be like,
look, I got notes though, which makes it official. I got notes.
Yeah.
So listen, here's how it's going to go. We're gonna, Kenny. By the way, for those that don't know, I don't know how you don't know Kenny Kim. Kenny Kim has been doing this for a long time. I would say he's an OG just like we are. I mean, about the same amount of time we've been doing this. Kenny's got his own.
About 6 months after you.
Yeah. So just a little bit after us, but just has great takes and has been doing golf for a long time. Kenny, tell everybody. So where can we all find you? We know your Twitter and everything else, or X or whatever you want to call it. But where you're on all these different shows now. So where are you?
No, I'm only on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates show. It's the only show I'm on every week. You can find me there, Spotify, iTunes, all that good shit that you can find this great podcast on as well. And then my article every week's on gulpscorner.com. I'll do some shows there for, big time events. And then, I go on shows that people ask. That's it.
Yeah. Well, we are happy that you came on with me. I mean, Lord knows I need somebody to help me, especially when I get left out on an island. But speaking of an island,
have you ever done the one man show?
I've done a few. Yeah.
I tried it once.
Yeah, it's not.
It was not. Yeah, it was horrible.
Like you get on there and you're like you just immediately want it to end as quickly as possible. Like you just want to get through it all. But, speaking of an island, DB is on an island right now. He's on Hilton Head with the family. So he's on vacation with them. He was just texting me. He had a little bit of a scare at dinner because he wanted to order the grouper and they were out of grouper. So he was freaking out. And I was like, look, just get the snapper. Okay, get the snapper. They were probably caught on the same reef, or you could get the redfish, blackened redfish. I don't know. He went with the snapper, and then formerly Chalk Bomb Ben said you should have gone with the redfish. So I don't know, but are you a seafood fan, Kenny?
I am. I would have went with. I would have been upset if the grouper wasn't around either. That's one of my favorite fish. It's just so meaty, right? And not overly. I worked at a fine dining seafood restaurant for about 10 years.
Oh, okay. So you know your fish.
So yeah, I know my fish. I know it pretty well. I know how to debone fish tableside. One of my more famous stories, time with Kenny, is the butterfish story where I shit my pants on a date after eating butterfish. So you should actually tell DB if there's butterfish on the menu to eat more than 8 ounces and see what happens.
Is butterfish, is it like a laxative? Do they marinate it?
So butterfish is super oily, right? It's like one of the most oily fish. And if you go, it's also called escalar. So if you Google it right now, it'll give you the side effects. And the fish is so oily that you're only supposed to eat maximum 6 ounces at a time. If you eat more than 6 ounces, you can get anal leakage.
Wow. Yeah. Well, see, that's something you need to know if you're going into.
Yeah, that happened to me on a date. I was about to smash.
Yeah.
And we were at our house, and all of a sudden I felt, my butt was slippery.
Man, that's well, you live and you learn, right, Kenny?
Right.
That's what happens. But by the way, DB always comes up with these things that people should comment on the YouTube video. I think tonight, if you're listening or whenever you're listening, just comment. Tell us what kind of seafood you like, what kind of fish you like, what's your favorite fish, and how do you like it? Okay. I don't know why I came up with that, but that's what I came up with. Okay. Scottish Open week. All right. Here's how the week's going to go. Obviously, DB's on vacation. We're going to do all the things we normally do, except for some of the writing, because I don't do any of the writing. But we'll be in the chat in the Nut Hut. Make sure you get in there this week. I know we have a special guest, but I forgot who it was, Kenny, already. But we do have a special guest coming into the Nut Hut. By the way, get into the Nut Hut, get into the chat, and then you can figure out who the special guest is. You don't need me to tell you right now, okay? We don't need to do that. But we're going to get into the Scottish Open tonight. And the Scottish Open, this is going to be really focused on DFS, kind of like the old days, Kenny, when everybody could just focus on DFS. We didn't have to have all this betting talk and whatever else. So we're just going to focus on DFS for the most part. We're going to do a 5K snake draft. So when we get into the 5K range, we're going to do a snake draft. And as a matter of fact, DB has written down that we need to do this in our best Scottish accents. Okay. I don't know if I have a good Scottish accent, but we can see how it goes. And then at the end, Kenny and I are going to give some early outright leans that we like and some top 20s. But, Kenny is, when it comes to all these DFS plays, you like the cash stuff still, right? Do you still have the cash cornerstones that you used to do?
I do, man. I still have the cornerstone. It's the only thing keeping me alive, basically, in DFS. Like, I'm doing well betting-wise. I'm doing well on Underdog. But when it comes to DFS, I'm hoping to break even, I'm pretty close to it right now. I'm sort of happy about that for this year, just because the cornerstones have been fine throughout the year. I've been winning in cash. So my goal is, when I play cash, I try to win back the money that I'm spending. Mm-hmm. And then so I have winning weeks. So last week I bet I put in like $220 in GPPs. I got back 30. But I had like 200 in cash, and so I won with my cash hit cornerstones. All made the cut, a couple in the top 10, and so I made that $200 plus the 30. So I was up $10 last week.
Okay, well that's in the positive, right?
Yes.
And by the way, I am wearing my Georgia Bulldog shirt because the Georgia Bulldog, Davis Thompson, gets a victory last week at the John Deere Classic. And DB and I both had him on our betting cards. So that was pretty cool to hit that. By the way, first bet that DB has hit this season. The whole season, Kenny. All of golf being played this entire year. That's the first one he has hit. I'm proud of him. I mean, look, I'm proud of him, but that's the first one.
Thank God they have you, right? Right? Yeah. I mean, thank God, right? That's what it seems like to me.
I don't know what he would do without me, but then, of course, I mean, I got to have him on the betting card too, so DB can't take all the credit. But it was a good week for us. But let's move on to Scotland and the Genesis Scottish Open. By the way, this show, as always at the beginning here, is brought to you by Bet the Number, BTN. DB and I love using Bet the Number. And, they've actually got a Scottish Open model this week. I don't have a model. I never do a model. I always just kind of trust the BTN model. But you really need to get into Bet the Number. We got a lot of stuff coming down the line. Listen, you use the code TJ at checkout. You will get $5 off a monthly membership and $50 off an annual membership. But if you get in the Nut Hut, if you join the Nut Hut, you can DM me or DB, and you can get an even specialer discount, Kenny. Did you know specialer was a word?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I made it up. But anyway, so get in BTN. It's awesome. And that is where all our stats are brought to you by this week. So, all right. Another thing I want to talk about before we talk about plays. Back in the day, Kenny, David used to let me do what I called weather-wise. Okay, and so I would always say, all right, here's what the weather looks like weather-wise this week. And we kind of stopped doing the weather, but it is Scotland. So you got to talk about the weather a little bit. And so we're going to have a little weather-wise section here. By the way, we're at the Renaissance Golf Club. I think it's about 7,300 yards, par 70. I don't think when you get easy conditions, it's not necessarily a difficult golf course. This is it's not a traditional link style golf course. It's kind of a new link style golf course. It was built in 2008. So it's not like one of these old golf courses. A lot of people, when they talk about North Berwick, they think they're on the North Berwick West Links, which David and I have played. It is a fantastic old golf course. It's one of, I think, the 7th or 8th oldest golf course in the world. But this one is not that one. The Renaissance Club is actually a newer golf course. So that is where they are this week. Now, as far as the weather-wise, I didn't really see much, Kenny. Have you seen much? What have you really seen from the weather this week?
No, it looks like it should be pretty nice. I mean, I'm seeing the highest gusts, 15 miles per hour, maybe a little bit of rain to soften the course up too. So yeah, I expect it to play, on the easier side. And we've seen it play that, the first couple of years it was here. That was like pre-PGA Tour when Bernd Weisberger won, 22 under, Min Woo won at 18 under.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could see something like that with the weather the way it is. But again, it's Monday. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's Monday, and that's what we always say when we start to get into, over here in Scotland and Ireland, whenever, where they're going to be for the Open Championship at Troon. I mean, you really just can't rely on the weather when we're talking about this stuff on Monday. And that's why you need things like, Kenny's content that he's putting out. You need the Nut Hut, those kind of things where you can get in there late in the week before they tee off and really figure out whether or not, hey, maybe there's a weather wave this week. We don't know. I think the weather, though, right now, like you said, it looks pretty benign. I mean, 10 to 15 miles per hour is nothing really. I mean, they're going to get some showers and things like that. But I haven't really seen anything at this point that looks like it's going to be a huge difference maker for this week. So as we get into some picks, let's start with the 9K and above range, Kenny. Now, you got all the way at the top, Rory McIlroy at 11.9, and then you got Xander right after him, all the way down to the bottom of the 9K range in Matty Fitzpatrick. There's a lot of good players in here. I'll start with a few that I like. And I think that, when we're looking at it this week, how about this? I'll start with some of where I think the chalk's going to be. Where do I think there's going to be some chalk? And then I'll let you kind of give what you think. But I think Rory is definitely going to be chalk. I think Xander is definitely going to be chalk. I think that we're probably going to get a little Min Woo chalk based off the way he's playing lately, coming off that T2 just a couple weeks ago. And where else do you think, other than Rory and Xander and maybe Min Woo, what do you think about where the chalk's going to be this week, Kenny?
I mean, you could possibly see some Tom Kim up there with his couple of top 10 finishes. And, he's had some good finishes here recently up until his miscut a couple of weeks ago. But, he was on a 9-week stretch. He finally got a couple of weeks off, could be refreshed. I think people are going to click him. I do expect Min Woo and Rory and Xander to be chalk as well. I agree with you. I think those 4 will probably be your 4 highest owned in this range.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tom Kim's one of those that when I'm looking at it here, though, I think he's chalk I want to eat in this, whether it's a GPP or whether it's cash. But we'll get right into that with cash. You're the cash man. So who are your cash plays up here in this 9K and above range? Who do you really like as far as your cash lineups or even just GPP in general?
I mean, there's 3 guys that, the first one's Xander. I mean, his floor is so high, and he's become one of the best players in the world, second best golfer in the world behind Scotty the last year. Finally got that monkey off his back with that major championship victory. So, I think he makes sense here, former winner. The only thing about it is that price tag is a little high to start this week because once you get below the 7K, once you get, you don't have to go below the 7K range because of how the field is in cash this week. I didn't. I don't have anyone in the 7K or below. But, I'm starting my cash lineups with Fleetwood. And so, with him, it's just he's consistently he's going to make the cut. It's like a safe play when it comes down to it, but he has the upside as well. And what I'm looking for this week is, course form, good form, and upside on the course. And, he's had a couple of top 10s here already. He makes a lot of cuts. He's finished a bunch of top 20s here recently. I think he has a top 10 upside for this in the 9,900. I think it's a good base, solid starting point to be able to sort of compress your guys into like a certain group of pricing from 7 to 9K. And those are the guys that you're going to pick from for cash. And that's the way I did it this week. My other cornerstone is actually Minwoo down there at 93. You're right. He's going to be a popular play, a former winner here. It just makes a lot of sense, especially now if the course is going to play easier. If it was a little bit tougher, if you thought the win was going to come, then maybe I wouldn't have used him. But he won this event in benign conditions like we're going to see this week. He's a guy that can get 20 plus under par if you need to. Long off the tee, good putter. Those are things that you're going to want.
Yeah, I agree. I think both those guys. I love Minwoo. I love Fleetwood. Matter of fact, a little teaser here. In my top 20s, as far as betting, I think Tommy Fleetwood is a great top 20 plays, even money. I think it's he's going to be one that I would hammer at that even money for a top 20. So that allows me now to give a couple bonus top 20 plays because I've already thrown that one out.
But plus money, right before I came on, you can still find them at plus money.
Oh, really?
So the numbers are there. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get them at plus money, then go ahead and get you some Fleetwood there. I like that. Yeah, I wanted your thoughts on Ludwig because I really kind of like Ludwig this week. He's just one of those guys that we know, like every model. I don't care what you're using. You're using Bet the Number, which I'm using. He's going to show up in the model. He's been playing well. He's had, a couple top 15s here in his last 3 tournaments. What do you think about Ludwig this week and as far as his chances to win here at the Renaissance Club?
Yeah, he's a stud. I mean, he could go out and win it any week. I mean, the guy's a great golfer. I mean, he hits it long and he hits it straight. His iron game is improving week by week. His short game is improving week by week. I have no problem with him. The only downside is he missed a cut here last year, but again, probably a different golfer now than he was back then. So with his driving prowess, and here's the thing about this course. I know you get the majority of your strokes gained off approaches. I think it's like 44%, which is pretty high here. Mm-hmm. But I still think, with these type of conditions and it being benign and not that windy, the out of the rough penalty is like 44th out of 45th out of 45 courses. Like there's no penalty for the rough. So, you want to just pound it out there. And so, yeah, he could do that, but he's accurate too. So he's going to be hitting a lot of those off the fairway, which should give him an advantage. I'm a fan of him. We'll see if I play him because him and Morikawa were tough. Morikawa, it's not outside of that one Open Championship. He's not really been great around it across the pond. So I don't know. When it comes to 10K, I think if I'm going to play somebody other than Rory and Xander, it would probably be Open.
Is there anybody you think you're going to fade here in this 9K and above range? I mean, I think for me, it's probably going to, this sounds like a little bit of an easy fade, but, when you're looking at Victor Hovland, he just feels like he's so just all over the place right now. And it doesn't feel like I don't get a warm and fuzzy feeling when I'm going to, if I'm throwing Victor Hovland in my lineup, especially when I've got, guys like Tom Kim, who's in great form around him, Tommy Fleetwood just above him. So I feel like Victor Hovland's going to be kind of the one guy that gets squeezed out a little bit here especially in this 9K range, probably low owned. So if you want to, play a low owned Victor Hovland, might be a good little pivot option, but I still don't feel very good about him. What do you think about Victor, or are there any other guys that you're pretty convicted as far as fading up here in this 9K range?
Well, here's the thing. Like when it comes to Victor, because of the benign conditions, I think you will have to rely less on around the green play than you normally would. I think the first year the tour played here was like 58% green in regulation. Last year was 65. And then last year was like 40-mile-per-hour winds on Sunday. Right. Yeah. And so it was still 65% green in regulation percentage for the whole thing. So it'll probably be over 70 this week. And the thing about it is if his ball striking is at the level where it can be, his limitations around the green might not be a big problem. I'm really interested in his ownership this week personally. If he's going to be single digit low owned, 8% under, I'm probably going to play him. Just because I think you can see a lot of birdies here. He can get hot. There's not that much potential for huge numbers. And we've seen huge numbers kill Hovland over and over and over and over again, especially in major championships. Here, unless you get stuck in a pot bunker and do something really fucking stupid, You know, there's not that many chances for double. I mean, you just take your you take your medicine, chip out sideways, you know, get on 2-putt for your bogey, right? I mean, you know, that's what's going to happen out of the pot bunkers. Outside of that, there's no danger. So I think I'm thinking about him this week. When it comes to a clear fade, I don't see anything clear. I'm tempted to fade Tom Kim just because of ownership. And also because of the fact that I think this course is playing different than it has the last couple of years. When he was successful, it's going to be a lot easier. He can't get hot with the birdie streaks, but I really think being one of the shorter hitters in this course can really hurt him because of how many birdies there's going to be this year compared to previous years.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the thing is, too, if I look a little deeper into Victor, see, I was talking about him as a fade, but then now you start to look at it and you think, well, okay, well, if you don't really have to scramble, which is definitely, I mean, he's lost straight scrambling in his last 5 events pretty much, other than the PGA Championship. And then, but you look at his approach play, he lost a little bit at the Travelers, but, you know, gained over 2 at the USA Open, gained almost 5 or 4.5 at the Memorial, 6.5 at the PGA Championship. You know, so his approach numbers have been pretty good, and so is his off the tee numbers. He's gained off the tee in every single one of his last 5 events. So, you know, maybe if you get a lower owned Victor Hovland, that could be a decent play right there. You know, so maybe I was a little too quick to fade Victor right there. So, anyway, any other thoughts here in the 9K range, Kenny, or you want to, move on down into the 8K range?
Yeah, we can move on.
By the way, this next range brought to you by Underdog. Now I know that you are great at Underdog, Kenny. You do a lot.
I was lucky in the beginning. How about that? That's what I see now. I was lucky in the beginning.
Underdog has all kinds of things going on. I know people are starting to get ramped up also for football as we get into football season coming here. But you can use promo code Junkies and you get 100% deposit match up to $100. So they got best ball drafts, they got pick'ems, they got all kinds of things on Underdog. I'm going to put you on the spot, Kenny. Have you looked at Underdog this week at all?
I tried. I didn't see anything up yet. Is it up now?
I think it may be up. So maybe as we go along here, I'll kind of take the spotlight off of you a little bit. But if you got like a favorite play, you can throw it out at any time. But look, we love playing Underdog. DB does great at Underdog. So get in there, use promo code Junkies.
I will say one thing about Underdog. It's looking like the birdie range for higher and lower is it's like 4.5. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Like if they're going based upon the stats that they've seen the last couple of years. I mean, 2 years ago was windy as fuck, right? Last year, that fourth round really skewed everything.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, I mean, we can maybe use that to our advantage in round 1 because I think 4 birdies is light. You know, I mean, there's 6 holes on this course to play under par, right? And that's with all the shitty weather that they've had. It's the 3 par 5s. A drivable par 4, and they got the 2 short under like 150 par 3s. Those are all, scoring average under par for the entire 5 years this event has been going on. And so, I mean, you might have to really hit that over birdie number for that round 1 because they will adjust and they might adjust quick. I've seen them adjust like the same night. With birdies and stuff. So if you're watching this live, it might be a good idea to jump on that. I would think.
I like it. And I think you traditionally, for me, I always feel like I do well on that first day. Like I feel like it takes them a minute to adjust. And I definitely think if you're going to see some birdies here on Thursday. So I like it. All right, moving on here in the 8K range. We only got 8 guys here. But you got some good players, some interesting guys to talk about in this range. All the way up, you start with Corey Connors at 8,900. You got Sungjae M in the middle here at 8,500. And then at the bottom, Jordan Spieth, which I just don't see why he's priced at 8,000. But
do you think he should be lower or higher?
I think he should be a little bit lower. I mean, he's starting to play a little bit better.
I think Homa and him should switch.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should. I think that, Homa to me, well, we'll get into Homa in a little bit because I want to talk about him for a second. But, I think when you're looking down here in this 8K range, if I'm looking at where I think the chalk is gonna be in here, I definitely think Aaron Rye, just the way he's been playing, he's going to be chalky. He's won this golf tournament before, so we know that Aaron Rye is probably going to have some chalk to him. I think other than that, it's kind of hard to really say where it might be. I don't know. Maybe Sung Jae, because he's been playing pretty well lately. So I would say the only two that I could think of are right there at 8,300 and 8,500 at Sung Jae and Aaron Rye. Kenny, anybody else you think might be chalky besides those two guys, or is that really where it's going to be?
That's probably where it is. I mean, I really like I like Wyndham Clark a lot.
Yes, I do too. I'm so glad you brought him up. I think he's a good play this week.
Yeah, I like he's probably my favorite GPP play, like on the board.
Yes,
just because I don't expect him to be highly owned, but then again, you love him. When I just finished my show with Byron loves him. Yeah. I've seen him already on a couple of big guys betting cards. So maybe he's going to be more popular than I expected. I don't know. Not. I was hoping like 10% or less.
Yeah.
Right? If it was like 10% or less, and I was like, wow, we could really, get like 40, 45% Wyndham Clark in your GPPs and really have a clear advantage over the field. And that's what I was thinking. I like him just because, he can get super hot with that putter and he just pounds it out there a million miles. And, with no danger, just pounding it out there, hitting a little flip wedge, doing whatever. These greens are going to be soft. I think he played here last year. I think he made the cut at least, right?
He was top 25 last year.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he's going to be a great play this week. And I was really hoping for single digit ownership, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I know, especially now that you and I both like him, and on your shows, I mean, I guess there are obviously sharp people like myself and you, Kenny, that like him. But look, I think when I'm looking at the 8K range, he was the first one that jumped out at me, and I'm thinking probably not going to have a ton of ownership. He's a great play this week. He's been playing better lately, so I'm all in. That'll be one of the more. I think if you whenever we get these ownership projections that come out, you kind of have a few guys that you immediately go to. He's going to be the first one I go to. I want to see where he is immediately as far as the ownership is concerned. But I do like Wyndham Clark. Would you say so in cash in this 8K range? Who do you think you would go with or feel the best with? Would it be Wyndham, or is he more of a GPP play for you?
He's GPP. It's Rye for me. It just seems he makes so many cuts. He's won this event before. His form is spectacular. It's just if he misses the cut, it's bad luck. Basically, is what it comes down to. It doesn't look like there's any way he should.
Yeah.
Now it's golf, so it's very easily that he could. But just the way he's been playing, the way he's been striking the ball. I mean, as long as he doesn't putt his way out of it, I'd see a top 25 from him pretty easy. Just the way he's been playing and a familiarity with the course and good feeling. It's not like he has these good feelings anywhere in the United States. Going to a course he's won before. That doesn't happen here on the PGA Tour. It's happening this week for him. He's a great player who's going to a course that he's won before, and that makes a difference, I think, a lot of the time for a lot of these golfers.
Yeah, for me, I think if I'm going with the cash play, I agree. I think Aaron Rye is the play. I want to talk about one more guy here, though, in this range before we go on into the 7K range, and that's Justin Thomas. JT coming off, he was T5 at the Travelers. He's been just such a polarizing player this year. I mean, you look at the putting has not been very good. His around the green play has been good. He's gained around the greens in every tournament since the Wells Fargo. His approach numbers have been, for the most part, pretty good. I mean, he gained over 4 at the PGA Championship, over 5 at Memorial. He lost over 5 strokes at the U.S. Open. I could get that a little bit because you're at Pinehurst and it's just different. And then at the Travelers, he did pretty well also and gained on approach as well. So what are your thoughts on JT? I mean, I think he's one that I could be talked into playing a little bit this week.
The price is definitely right. I sort of put JT in the same mold as what old Patrick Reed, where he's become really disliked. People like the general public and even people who play like DFS and gamble, they just don't like him, right? And you saw it with Patrick Reed. His ownership, even when he was popular, was always a couple of points less than probably what it should have been. And then when he was low owned, he was always really low owned, right? I think JT sort of fallen in there. I think people don't like him. I don't think he's rostered as much as he used to be, and it's not like he's been playing horrible, right? He can pound it out there. Still, his hand game is still Justin Thomas. I could get talked into him also down here, especially with his proclivity to hit the ball long, and overall his total play with his wedges throughout his career.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just one of those, and that's the thing with when you talk about JT. I agree. I think a lot of people have just kind of soured on him lately, and it's because a lot of times too, when the player is constantly talked about or bet or played in DFS and he just doesn't come through, he's not getting wins, he's not giving you value for what you're paying for him, then these people are going to sour on him a little bit. But I do think that his ownership is going to be a little bit lower this week, and I think when people do that, I'll gladly pivot somewhere to him. If he's single digits, I'll play him. I think that I try not to. People that listen to us all the time, I can go on these rants all the time, Kenny. I hate narratives. I cannot stand narratives. I don't like them. It drives me crazy. And so if you're gonna give me some narrative about a guy, then I'm going the other way. I'm going with him. So like it's like the travel narrative. A guy like comes from the West Coast to the East Coast, and that means he's not going to play well, even though he's a pro and knows what he's doing. So I try not to pay attention to all that stuff when I can. And I think, with a guy like JT, you just sort of have to, if you want to play him, play him. But if not, I don't know. Maybe I will. All right, let's get into the 7K range. This is an interesting range for sure. And I know you said that you're not really going too much below the 7K range, especially in cash.
In cash, yeah.
In cash. So I really want to hear some of your cash plays. But before we do that, Kenny, do you have any Swannies gear? You got any polos? No. Okay, listen. I'm hooking you up with some Swannies gear. All right.
Oh, nice.
I got some here at the house. I'm going to send it to you, and you're going to love the stuff. It's great golf stuff. They got some fantastic polos. There's some stuff that's more Pat style and kind of normal, and then there's some stuff that's like DB likes. A little out there. Some flowers and things on it. So I love Swannies, though. It's great gear. You know what? If you use TJ25, you get 25% off your order, and you can use it multiple times. But I got some stuff here that I'm going to send you, Kenny, so that you can wear some Swannies. And
I appreciate that.
I think you'll love it. It is great stuff. They ship to U.S. and Canada. They got stuff for men's, women's, kids, all kinds of things. And we love Swannies. And use code TJ25 and you will get a 25% discount off your order. All right, 7K range. Now, this is a range here, Kenny. Starting up at the top, you got your guy Davis Thompson, who's coming off of a victory. And then we got Max Homa in here. We got Seabez here in the middle. And you got some fella named Tom McKibben at the bottom. It's 7,000. You got EVR at the very bottom at 7,000. EVR, by the way, has been in Scotland for a couple weeks now, playing all over the place. So this is a range that I think we can kind of sit on just for a little bit here and talk about. Up at the top. Well, actually, let me just talk about where I think chalk is going to be here. I do think Davis Thompson's going to have chalk just based off the way he's playing. I mean, literally top 10s in his last 3 events coming off of a victory at the John Deere Classic. By the way, narrative, that's what people are going to say. Oh, he's coming off of a victory. He can't do well. All these things. That's going to be the narrative for Davis Thompson. So maybe you decide you don't want to play him. I get it. But I think the way he's been playing right now has been pretty good. I think he's going to have a little bit of chalk. I really am going to be interested to see these few players, though, where they're going to be owned. One is Seabez, because I think Seabez, he was a little bit chalky when it came to the U.S. Open because of where he was priced. I think Sepp Straka, and I think I'm really interested in what we're going to see from Max Homa. Like, where is Max Homa being priced in the 7K range going to be as far as ownership? And so you mentioned him earlier. What do you think? Let's talk about Max Homa first off, because I think he's an interesting play this week, and I kind of like him, but I wonder if he's going to be pretty chalky.
I mean, just the price is so low for a guy who's won like 6 times in the last 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is, I always say, you play Homa on Homa courses. He's basically the new Bubba Watson to me. Right. If he's had success on a certain course, more than likely he'll have success on that course again. We've seen it time and time from him on many different courses, Wells Fargo, Riv, all that stuff. You play those courses over and over again. He's always near the top, and a couple of top 16s here in the first 2 years played. For a guy at $7,700, he could be chalky, because I don't see why you wouldn't take that risk outside of possible ownership.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Max Homa is going to have some chalk, and I'm going to eat it. I don't care. I'm going to play him. I just feel like when you look at any kind of course over here, Max Homa is one of those guys that just has that kind of natural feel for the game, even though this is sort of a newer style links course, and it doesn't take necessarily as much creativity as they're going to have next week at the Open Championship. I do think Max can thrive in these kind of conditions. So I think I am going to play him. I think when I look at some other guys that I like in this range, I tell you one that I'm done with. I'm just done. Kenny, I'm done with Alex Noren. I can't do it anymore. He should win golf tournaments. He is a great ball striker. He never does it for me. Are you ever going to play Alex Noren again?
I'm playing him this week. I actually talked about this. I talked about this on the show.
Kenny!
Right before. Here's the thing. Here's the reason. So this is purely a gut play. So I've been doing this thing called Kenny's gut play, right?
Oh, I know the gut play. I got plenty of those, Kenny.
Yeah. I mean, it worked last week. Last week was the first week we tried it. It worked. I had Novak. He was my gut play of the week. He finished 8th. So I just when it comes to this course, I think of maybe like Honda, right? Like something by the water where the wind can affect it, where it's a driver heavy course. Now it's a little bit easier to play probably. But we've seen Honda, get into the low double digits and stuff when the weather wasn't windy like it normally is. We've seen it happen, and that's probably what we're going to see this week. I don't think anyone's going to play him. I think everyone's taking the way you should. I think it's a little bit of just a touch, just for a gut play in this type of situation on this type of course where, if he wasn't as bad as he had been for the last 2 months, it's probably a suitable course for him overall for his career type game. I think it's someone that I'm looking at this week. Then I think I can get 10% and be 5 times the field.
Yeah. I mean, I can see Alex being a gut play, but he's just really burned me so many times, and I like
He's
Alex.
Been bad.
Yeah. If I'm going to play a gut play, which I think when you look at these ranges, sometimes you just got to go with your gut. I think Ryan Fox is one of them. Finished in the top 15 here last year. I like him. And then I like EVR. EVR coming in here at 7,000. I think he's a little bit of a gut play for me. I like the fact that he's been overseas playing a lot the last with his caddy, by the way, the last week or so. So I think EVR is one that I really like. And then I think that I'm also going to, play a little bit of Ryan Fox. But we mentioned, you didn't want to go below 7K for your cash plays. So in this 7K range, who are you using for cash? Who are your favorite plays here, or one favorite play?
I like Benny Ann. Again, top 10 here last year. His form throughout the season has been excellent. It's probably been one of his best seasons of his career. Probably he hasn't had that win yet, but he's had some close calls. Sony, right? If that's the first thing you could, I think it was Sony, right? So he's played well here in the past. He can hit it out there a mile. If it does get windy, his short game is really solid. I do like him this week in cash. He's made a lot of cuts. I'm not worried about his last withdrawal. He said he had the flu. You know what I'm saying? And that was like a couple weeks ago. I mean, and that happens, right? So I'm not stressing that at all. So I like Benny. I like Detry down here. Again, another guy who's played well at this course, who makes a lot of cuts, who's been in contention, who can pound it out there a good mile off the tee. Those are a couple. And the way you're talking about EVR, I might be adding him. I like that I like that info. He's been overseas practicing, working. He's had a top 20 here in the past. I like that now. I like
it. And then coming off of a T6 in his last start. So I think EVR is a really good play. And I agree with, Thomas Detry. I think Detry is, I can't see him winning, but you don't need that out of your cash play, right? You just need him to, have some value there at that range where he is, sitting there at, 7,200. I think he allows you to really kind of fit in a pretty good lineup. So I'm with you there on Thomas Detry. I don't think he wins, but I do think he is a very solid upside play here in the 7K range. Any other thoughts on some guys here in 7K, or are you?
Yeah, I mean, those are my main. I mean, you could try McKibbe. The guy's been playing good golf across the pond. I mean, look at his results; they're pretty freaking solid. I don't know much about him, but just looking result oriented, I mean, it looks sort of strong, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to get into a few, DP World Tour Euro guys here in the 6K range that I really like, because I think there's some that are mispriced a little bit, and we tend to see that at the Scottish Open, in my mind. There's guys that are been playing really well, and they just don't see the pricing because, I don't know whatever DK's doing. Maybe they're not paying attention as much, but there are some really good players down here in this 6K range that I think we can go to. Before we go to the 6K range, by the way, our friends at SoBet, you got to check them out. Use promo code TJ when you check out. SoBet is awesome. They've got over 50 vetted handicappers with a track record of success. All of their guys that are on SoBet, if you get onto their platform, they give you plays, but they're also very transparent. And we love SoBet. SoBet is a great partner of ours. They've been a partner for over a year. And so you got to go check out SoBet. Use promo code TJ at checkout. It's like nothing. I don't even know what the price is, but it's cheap. It's like nothing. All right. And then if you want to do other things besides golf, they got hockey guys. They got baseball guys. They got football guys. They got all kinds of stuff. I know you're a hockey guy. You like the Washington Capitals, don't you?
I live and die by them every playoff season. So, yes, for like 35 years of my life, yes.
A good friend of mine, story time with Kenny, a good friend of mine that I met later in life lives up in that D.C. area, and he is one of the biggest Capital fans you will ever find. And he gave me a Caps hat. And nice. I wore it playing golf one day, and people were like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, look, this is my Caps hat, I'm kind of like a Caps fan too now. Like, they're my team.
Yeah, I mean, if you own the gear, that's your squad, right? I mean,
yeah, that's it.
They don't have the Thrashers anymore. So nothing
so we got to find somebody.
So, I mean, I've loved that team since I was 5 years old. One of the greatest moments of my life is when they actually won the Stanley Cup. So that's pretty fucking sad, but it's the truth. It was an amazing. I've been waiting for that for a long time. So we got it. So now I got like another 5 years where I can live off that and not really bitch and complain.
You see this Bulldog here right there? I waited 40 years to get a title. Then we got 2 in a row, which was fantastic.
Did you cry like a baby?
Kenny, I cried like a
little
baby.
Kid. Yeah.
David was with me. I could not. Now, the second one, I didn't cry as much or really at all, but because that was like a blowout with TCU. Sorry, they couldn't handle us. But the one against Bama that we won, I was crying like a baby. And you know what? That's what sports are all about. You spend all of these years pouring your heart and soul into, like you with the Caps or me with Georgia Bulldogs. And then when they finally win after all that time, it means a lot. I'm not embarrassed at all that I cried. I'm not.
Well, the thing about being a Caps fan too is it's just the heartbreak is so ingrained in the team and the fan base.
Yeah.
Because of like the history that we've had and so many close calls and like times where we should have won and Game 7's lost and President's Cup team. They have a President's Cup in hockey too.
Yeah.
And so the President's Cup winner losing in the first, second round. I mean, it's the heartbreak. It's year in and year out. And then finally, again, it was pretty fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's good stuff. By the way, speaking of teams, we went to the LIV Golf Nashville event, and so I chose my team, and I'm a Cleeks fan. Now, some would say that I'm a little bit of a bandwagon fan because they won in Houston, but I'm a Blandy fan. Dick Bland, old guys. So that's one reason that I'm a Cleeks fan. Have you chosen
two-time major winner now, right?
Yeah, he just won the senior PGA and the U.S. Senior Open.
Yeah.
What more do you want?
I think those are like his only 2 events he's ever played on. Right? Didn't he just turn 50?
Is he literally one of the greatest golfers in the world right now?
He is. The guys play. You know what ball he plays is the Max Fly, and I've been seeing more Max Fly being pumped lately here. It's got to be due to him, right? I mean, Jesus.
I think you're right. Do you have a team? Have you chosen a team yet, or are you still kind of holding out on that?
Not really. The team thing, I like the idea. Like I want it to work, but it just doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't. I don't know what they can do to change it to make it work, but it just doesn't. I still watch LIV, a good amount. I think the biggest thing that they need to do is they need to be a set time, set date, set channel. Yeah. In the beginning, even if it has to be recorded. No one's watching it live now, anyways. Just fucking record it. Okay, and then just make it at this time on this channel every day, every week, blah blah blah, and then that's how you get your viewing up and get people to watch. And then after a while, then maybe you can work something out. People start watching it live.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. All right, well, I guess we got to talk about this 6K range here. You got a whole lot of guys in here. You start off at the top at 6,900 with Machu or whatever, Pavon, who's played well this year at a lot of different times, but then he also has not played so well. But I like Machu. Then you got Will Zalatoris, by the way, up here at 6,900, all the way down into the very bottom of this range with a few good European Tour guys or DP World Tour guys like Guido Migliozzi and players like that. This is interesting range for me, for sure. I don't think I'm going to take anybody in cash. I'm with you. There's just not anybody that I really feel comfortable throwing in a cash lineup. But at the top, I think it's like, how do we feel about a 6,900 Willie Z?
I mean, didn't he say he heard something pop? Wasn't that what I heard?
Yeah, because he withdrew from his last event. So it's like a hip. I think it was a hip injury.
Yeah, I talked about this last week. Like, I've had back problems since I was 17. I hurt my back playing football. And then the doctor, when I went to get it done, take a look at my back, he was like, well, wait as long as you can to have surgery, because back surgery is not 100%. And this was 30 years ago, so maybe it's gotten better, which is what you hope. But I mean, like, if what he told me is, once you have back surgery once, you're probably going to have it in another decade, and then in another 5 years. Nothing's ever a real fix. This guy's like 23 years old.
Yeah, he's
right, and he's already had his back surgery, and he's going through all this. He's already had to slow his swing down a lot. You've seen it with his driving. Doesn't pound it as far as he used to. And then to say he heard something pop, I mean, this is no bueno. This is like DEFCON 5 in my book, I think, for this guy. I hope he gets better. We'll see. I mean, if he's here, so maybe he thinks he's good enough to play. And if you can get him at $6,900 at 2% owned, maybe it's worth it, but I don't know.
Yeah, to me, I'm kind of out on Willie Z. I think that, and I'm with you. I think it just, there's a lot of red flags right now. He's, you're going down here and you're seeing Willie Z 6,900. It just feels like a trap to me. I would rather play, right above him there. I'd rather play Pavon. I think Pavon is a good play here. He's coming off of 5th at the U.S. Open. He was right there. He finished T16, so followed that up, the U.S. Open performance up with a T16 at the Travelers. So I like Pavon a lot. And, he's come off the DP World Tour also. So it's not like he's not used to playing over there. And, he's a great player. I think he gets a little bit – I feel like he still is one of these players that is just mispriced every week. I think Pavon is he's just not given a whole lot of credit. And even though he's got the win at Pebble Beach, has a great performance there at the U.S. Open, like I just said. So I like him at 6,900. A couple others that I think are interesting here as well. I think Ewan Ferguson is another one at 6,700. He finished in the top 15 here last year. He is coming off of a win. He won the BMW International, I believe it was just a week ago. He's from Scotland. So I think Ferguson is another one that we can look at here at that 6,700 range. I like that a lot. A couple others, and then I'll kind of let you kind of fill it out a little bit. But Sebastian Soderberg is another one at 6,400. He's probably, to me, one of the most mispriced guys in this entire field at 6,400. He's at 110 to 1 to win. He has 3 top 10 finishes in his last 5 events. The guy has been playing very good golf. And at 6,400, I think Soderberg is another one that we really need to be looking at down here. And you've got your normal guys coming off the PGA Tour, like Ben Griffin's been playing really well. He's at 6,600. He's one that I think you can look at a little bit. But other than that, those are really kind of my favorite, and all of these are GPP plays for me. How about you, Kenny? Anybody that kind of strikes you as standing out a little bit here in the 6K range?
Yeah, I like Pavon. I like the Ferguson call. I like Jordan L. Smith, another guy who's played well here in the past. Links specialist. He's actually had some good finishes here recently. Also, he's had pretty really good at par threes. Like overall, since when he's played on the PGA Tour. You still got at least 24, 30 rounds of that, and he's been excellent on par threes. And you got 5 of them this week. Something to look at. He's always good with his longer irons, also. From 200 plus. So Jordan Smith, somebody down here. I mean, maybe like Novak again. Just stat wise, it seems like he pans out. I think he played here last year. I don't remember if he made the cut or not. I'm thinking no. But either way, I think his performance last week. He's coming in. He has some good finishes even prior to that. Yeah. I think he could be fine. Lee Hodges was a top 15 guy here last year. Normally, $77, $78, $7,900. You see him on a normal week. You get him pretty cheap this week. He's had a pretty damn good season. So yeah, I like him at 6,100.
Yeah, cheap there. One more here at 6,000. Guido Migliozzi, who we used to talk about a good amount back a couple of years ago. I felt like his game has come back around. And he's had some good finishes lately. So I think Guido is another one that we could look at here at 6,000. All right, we got the 5K draft here. We're going to do a snake draft. We each get to choose 3 players, so back and forth. And then we're going to give a few outright early favorites and some top 20s, and then we'll get out of here, Kenny. Now, DB says that he would like us to do these in our Scottish accents. I don't know if I have a very good Scottish accent.
I don't think I suck at accents, man. I'm horrible.
Me too. DB loves to do an accent. So guess what? Screw DB. We're not going to do him in
all right, good.
I don't care.
Because I've been trying to think of a Scottish accent in my head for like the last 30 minutes, and I can't come up.
I literally watched a YouTube video before the show about a Scottish accent, and I still can't even remember what it was and how it's like. All I know is when we were in Scotland, the caddies that we had great caddies. I mean, the whole time. I mean, if you're ever go to Scotland to play golf, make sure don't not get caddies. I mean, push carts are fun if you're doing like a late afternoon round or something like that. But when you're on a good golf course there, just get a caddy. All right. Now, if you play an emergency 9 or an E18 or something like that, you can get a push cart. But they have the best sayings and they're hilarious. And so that's where like my Scottish accent comes from, because a lot of times when I would hit a shot, the first thing they would say would be, "Oh no. Oh no." That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
that's pretty good right there.
Sending one off the planet or something, or whatever it was. So and DB got "oh no" a lot. Oh no, because DB hits it a long way, and but when you go the wrong way, the good thing is out in Scotland, when you hit it, way offline, there's not a lot of houses on the golf courses or any, so you don't have to worry about hitting a house. But all right, so 5K draft, and then we'll get into some early outrights betting on the betting cards, and then top 20s, and we'll get out of here. I'll start, okay, in the 5K drafts. Now, look, this is always a crapshoot. We're just hoping to maybe hit some guys that make the cut, and that's really it. So I'm going to start here with, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with Sami Välimäki at 5,700. And one reason is, now he's played well this year, but he's coming off a T12. He's also played this golf tournament twice and made the cut both times with the top 25 in 2022. So I'll start with Sami Välimäki.
All right, I do like Sammy. He would have been one of my picks. I'll go Nick Taylor. I just feel like he's mispriced at 5,900 guys. A guy who's won twice on the PGA Tour, like in the last year. I mean, it just seems like I don't care about his numbers. I don't care about his stats. I just feel like at $5,900, you go ahead and pick him just because his floor or his ceiling is win.
Yeah.
So why not?
All right. I like it. All right, I'll go with a friend of the show next at 5,800. Has not played here before, but he's been playing well for the most part all year long, and that is Justin Lauer at 5,800.
Yeah, that would have been my next pick. So give me a second.
Now, this is hard, so you don't have to you can look at it a little bit and think about it because
that would have been me right there.
I know it's tough.
I'll go. I'm trying to find somebody.
See, this is what happens when you get in this 5K range, right, Kenny? It's just you're like,
all right, give me Matty Schmid.
Okay, I like it.
At 59, he can make some birdies, good with the long irons. Give me Matty Schmid.
All right, I like that one. All right, I will go with man. I'll tell you what, he finished well last week, and he's at 5,600. He's only played here, he's at least played here the last 2 years, and he missed the cut both years. But I just like him. I like he's been around a little bit. Matthew Southgate is at 5,600. So one more for Kenny, and then we'll go to the some quick outright plays.
I feel like Grant Forrest finished top 10 here last year. I could be 100% wrong.
Who?
But I'll go with him because I think he finished like top 10 or top 20 here last year. I'm probably wrong.
All right. Well, I'm just going to believe you and say yes, you're right. So no, he finished 11th. You're right. Okay.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Grant Forrest. All right, good pull there. That was good, Kenny. All right, so that is the 5K draft. We've got Välimäki, Nick Taylor, Justin Lauer, Matty Schmid, Matthew Southgate, and Grant Forrest is the 6K draft. All right. A few outrights that I'm looking at. I think I'm going to go with Ludwig. I like him at 18-1. If you can get him at a better number, certainly you could do that. I like Tom Kim at 28-1. I like Min Woo at 30-1, and I love Wyndham Clark at 55-1. And then if I'm looking at a long shot, I think Soderberg, who I mentioned earlier, has at 110-1. Those are probably my top outright plays. Kenny, you got any outright plays that you like right now?
I like Xander a lot this week. I got a 9-1 on him just to win only. I got a 25-1 on Min Woo with 8 places. Detry 75 with 8 places, and there was one more, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Top 20 locks. So here's what we typically do. We do two top 20 locks, and then we do a bomb of 4-1 or longer. I already mentioned that I do like Fleetwood, and I think if you can get Fleetwood at plus money, I would absolutely just be all over that. So I think Fleetwood's one that I do like. I like Tom Kim as a top 20 at plus 130. And then I think if I'm going to give you not a long shot yet, but another guy that I think could really have a chance to finish in the top 20, and I almost mentioned him as an outright, but that's Seabez. I think Seabez at plus 220 is a good play as well to finish in the top 20, or Wyndham Clark at plus 225. So I'm kind of giving a little more than I typically do. Then as far as my bomb at 4-1 or longer, I'm going to go with Migliozzi. I'm going to go with Migliozzi at 5-1. Now I really like Soderberg, but he is a little less than 4-1, and we typically try to keep it there. So Kenny, that's all I got. What do you got? Any top 20s before we head out of here?
I like Min Woo plus 137. So 1.37 to 1. Min Woo for a top 20. I like Jordan Smith for a top 20 at 3.75 to 1. And then the long shot Valinaki 5-1.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps us up. Kenny, we hit right at an hour. I think we did pretty good there.
Nice. Solid.
I really appreciate you coming on. Anything we can plug for you before we go, or just let's have a great week. We got the Open Championship.
Let's have a good week. Should be fun. Just find me on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates or at gupscorner.com.
Well, we appreciate you being on, Kenny. You are a fantastic friend of the Tour Junkies podcast. You have been for a long time, and you do a great job. And, it's not easy to do this for as long as we have. It's a little bit of a grind. And so I always appreciate that there's folks like you out there that have done this for a long time. And, I know how hard it can be and the work that everybody puts into it. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody listening. Have a great week for the Genesis Scottish Open. David will be back next week, and we will be talking the Open Championship, the final major of the year. So everybody have a good week. Bend over your bookies. May your screens be green. See ya. Out.
Thanks, man. That was good.
All right, good stuff. Here, let me end the stream.